Alright, yo, what's up? Back on my podcast. Well, I guess VBD's podcast now since I made the whole thing. Well, I guess we can have Samurai start it off.
Alright. Hello. We're here with NIco and his wide receiver number 1. Alright, NIco. Let's start off with your fairly new LFG career. I mean, you've been here for a while, but you really started, getting more known last season. How did it feel making playoffs, and then the eventual heartbreak to Mezzo in the first round?
Well, last season, when I got
season.
crushed by him, or when I made the Elite
8. Just
last
316.
season.
316.
Okay, so that was my second real season QB. I started a few seasons ago, but I didn't really take it that serious until the past few seasons. And that was pretty cool. I was in D3 for most of the season, and then we promoted to D1 the last series, and then we beat Big Shooter at an upset, and I had a perfect game for 9 times, and we made it. And then first playoff appearance, we go against Jason's Hall of Fame team, so I kind of expected that we'd lose by that much. So I wasn't really too mad about it, and I was just trying to get back and do much better the next season, which I did.
Talking about next season. This season was a huge success story for you. One of the key players of the entire season. You were floating around medias left and right. How do you feel about this season? Did you think that you have upped your game from the previous seasons?
Yeah, definitely. This season was a big success. Happy that 9v9 has helped me out a lot too. I adjusted it very quickly, and I became pretty good 9v9 quarterback. And I got LFC QB captain, which helped me a lot. Got me a lot better. And then I was just grinding, and had a pretty good season. I should have gone all pro, but then I kind of did. When I got suspended last series, it kind of took my chances. So I had a good season. I'm happy with how it ended, even though we lost in Elite 8. It's a huge progress from getting Mercy in the first round. Making the Elite 8. That's pretty good.
How do you feel when you got suspended? Because that came as a shock to all of us, even to me. I was really confused what happened. Could you explain to us what happened?
Yeah, so the reason I was suspended is because I signed an unsigned player after game time, after they already played, because I didn't know that they were unsigned. I thought they already were signed, but he wasn't, so he didn't tell me after the game until after both games to sign him. And then I did, and then Gravy saw on the transactions channel because he was lurking it after game time, after he lost by 34. So after that, he saw, got me suspended, and I made a ticket in Africa, and what's his face, Wugga helped me out.
Don't leak tickets. Don't leak the tickets. Alright, just it happened.
Yes.
Murda, this is to you. How do you feel when NIco got suspended? I would have been really scared if my quarterback just disappeared like that.
I really didn't care. We had Snickerball.
Oh yeah, you did have Snickerball. And would you rather have Snickerball or NIco?
NICO.
Oh, so the loyalty is still there. Alright. So yeah, that was crazy end to the season. You managed to sneak into playoffs quite comfortably, I say. What were you? I think you were you made it as a group winner, no? Were you a wild card?
We were a wild card. We lost to well, not me, but my team lost to Kashi for the second time. So Kashi was a number 2 because he won, but he didn't have that high PV. But he was a number 2, and we went 2-1, so we were a wild card.
You got paired up against Atrupt. That was honestly a career game for all of you. How you guys feel about that game? Because that was really interesting to watch. Thais was obviously streaming it, so.
You know,
Tune in.
the whole team played good, especially Connor on defense. He had 3 interceptions. You know, actually really great from him. Akashi played well too. He had like 3 or 4 swaps and a touchdown on offense. Akashi played good. Overall, the whole team played good. You know, it's just like really good to like see that we put up 54 on like a pretty good defense. You know, it was just a really good game from like everybody on the team.
All right.
All right, so
And
I have a question for Nick. Yes, I'm gonna talk to Samurai. um, so I have a question for Nico. So how do you feel like just how do you feel on that loss against Mezzo? Like what like I don't know, what was going through your head while you were QBing in that game?
You know, I was trying to get my revenge from last season, but you know, the first few drives weren't that good. We didn't score we didn't score in the first one, and we had to settle for 3 in the second one. So after that, I was pretty shook. You know, I kind of like lost a little bit of hope. We were down like 21-3, so it wasn't good. And you know, as the games went on, it got progressively worse and worse.
All right,
And,
so
you know, I was
yeah.
kind of like disappointed in myself and my team.
Murder, do you think that Nico has assembled a strong team for next season? Because this season it was already a great success, but do you guys think that if Nico leads this team forward well and you guys play your roles, do you think you can go even further than Elite 8?
Yeah, we got a better deep. Waffle
Oh.
Man was trash.
Nico, what is like how do you feel is a misconception about you? Like what LFG thinks about you? Like do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah, you know, some people were talking about this like a few days ago. People were saying that I was like D3 and D4 player zeros, and it's kind of funny to see that because I kind of came from like, you know, the trenches like this season or two ago, and I feel like a lot of people just like glaze me and kind of like, you know, some people think I'm like really really good, and then others think I'm just kind of trash. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like I'm like a decent quarterback, but I don't feel like people should be like talking about me like how they do, you know.
Hey, let me speak for Nico real quick though. All right, so Nico has brought a team of complete randoms to here. I'm just gonna name real quick our last season lineup, our Sweet 16 lineup that Nico took to playoffs. It was Lacapelli, Big Joe, Lonely Swings, She's Tight, QLZ, UPZ, and Rekid. It was a bottom 5 team that he took to playoffs, and people continue to call him bad over QBBs and a Sweet 16 game versus one of the best players in the league. So, I mean, overall, people like to talk trash, and usually they're 10 times worse than him. Like 7-time Sweet 16 exit. No names being said.
I know.
so how do you feel about people you know, well NYC, so speaking about the time when you like left Nico, I guess, like before the season, like what was that for, you know?
I just played for Nico for 5 seasons, and I got asked to come to a different team that I promised a season with, and so I left, and he said I could. But then, you know, we had problem finding deep, so came back, and team's automatically 10 times better.
Yeah, cause I don't know. I think like we didn't have a deep and we couldn't find one really, so I just asked him to come back, and he's like, yeah, well.
How do you deal with the criticism and like what we were just talking about? How do you deal with that, you know, going on to a game, you know what I mean? So like you see that, like how do you deal with that? You know what I mean?
I just ignore it pretty much, or like sometimes I'll ignore it, or I'll either like think about it and I'll try to prove them wrong. You know, like,
Okay.
they'll be calling me trash, and I'll just try and like have like a crazy game to like make them shut up. Or
Right.
I'll just like ignore them and just let them keep talking, but like I won't let it affect me.
But do you think doing that, making it seem like, oh, you're trying to get your little like not your little get back, because like what you said against Mezzo, you know, you try to prove your point, but it just didn't go your way. So do you think that's a very good way to go with dealing with that, or?
Yeah, it's like okay, you know, works sometimes it doesn't. You know, that Jason game, he's just better than me at quarterback. His team is better than my team. We were just like, he was just up in pretty much every area. So you know, as much as I want to get my get back back, you know, I just like, I don't think it could have worked there. And
So-
like in that situation.
So
you know.
I was gonna ask what was your weak point, but that I don't want to expose that. So what is your?
No, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it.
Oh,
My
so
weak point-
okay.
My weak point is probably my scrambling or my VC play calling. And
Okay.
then like that's what I think my
So-
weak point is.
So what do you think your strength is though?
My strength is, well, like when I have time in the pocket, my blockers give me time. I can hit some pretty like hard throws. Like for jump stick, remember Akashi? I was like, when I got to the LOS, I used to like beam everything. It's just like when I'm on the LOS, I feel like I'm like unstoppable.
Talking about O-lines, how do you feel about your O-line core? Because they're relatively unknown in LFG terms. Are they? I know you brought them up from your like D3, D4 days. Do you think they'll be able to stand their ground firmly in D1 and playoffs?
Yeah, well, last season they did. I think well, I think every single one of my GEs had a safety or two, and they all gave me pretty good time. I was only sacked like 5 times the entire season, something like that. I don't really know, but
See,
like they didn't like really do that bad.
yeah. So personally, I think Toxic Tay would do better. Anyway, so let's we can talk about I mean, I have one last question, but if Samurai has another question, you can ask it before.
Nah. Go on.
So the last question is, how do you think you're gonna do this season?
I feel like we're gonna go really far, you know. My goal this season is at least 10 wins. You know, last season we got 8. Trying to go higher than that, you know.
Mhm.
Trying to get at least a minimum of 10 or 9 around there.
So,
And
so
you know, if yeah, as long as I just don't play Jason in the playoffs, like I feel like I can make the Final Four or even the Super Bowl.
So I heard this in my comments actually while I was streaming the Elite A game. So they said that Mezzo is your kryptonite.
Well, I mean, 0-2%, so I mean, I guess he's my kryptonite in playoffs. Like
Yeah.
it's just, I've never played him in the regular season, so you know, both times it was just playoffs, so it's kind of unfortunate that
Yeah.
like.
Well, why don't you
maybe regular season.
do you get any QBBs against him or no?
I think I QB beat him one time, but
Yeah.
QB, like people don't really try that much in QBB, so it's like a different story. Like QBBs are much different than, you know, regular season, and then playoffs much different than regular season. So
Yeah.
I feel like you know, if I played him in regular season, that's the outcome. You know, it'd probably be a much closer game than in playoffs. Because you know, in playoffs there's like no trolling on us. You know.
All right. So I'm gonna end it there. I appreciate you guys for coming on. You know, I hope to see you guys make the Final Four next season, and you know, just thank y'all for coming on. Anything you guys want to say before I end?
No, I'm good. What about you, Cassie?
Ring check.
Ring check and what?
Good
What in
Good
NBA?
name.
What in AFD?
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. You guys have a good night. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Alright.